Member Armstrong,
Here.
Councilmember Perkins,
Here.
Councilmember Zafar,
Here.
Vice Mayor Barros,
Here.
Mayor Hudson.
Here. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, are there any announcements or changes this evening?
There are none this evening.
Seeing none. Item 3.2, if you wish to speak under public comment or regarding an agenda item, please fill out a speaker card located in the back of the room and submit it to the city clerk. If you are participating remotely, click the raise your hand button on your computer or *9 on your telephone to request to speak when public comment is being taken on that agenda. Item 3.3, board, committee, and commission meetings. A complete list of upcoming meetings may be found on the city's website at www.sanramon.ca.gov. Subscription service is available at the link for automatic meeting notification. Contact the city clerk with questions, 925-973-2539. Public comment is open. At this time, the public is permitted to address the city council on items that are on the consent calendar, including requests to pull an item from the consent calendar and the reason why you wish to pull the item or items. Please note that the decision to remove the item from the consent calendar is strictly at the discretion of the city council. You may request for future agenda items. You may wish to speak under the special presentation items, which are in section 6 of tonight's agenda. There are 3 of them. Right? You're one. Oh, okay. And items that are not on the agenda and are within the city council's jurisdiction. If you wish to speak under public comment or regarding an agenda item, please fill out your speaker card located in the back of the room and submit it to city clerk. Have we received any cards yet?
We do have 1 speaker card and 1 hand raised on Zoom.
Okay, and let's take the speaker card first.
Sarah Lashenlu.
Sarah. Yes.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, good evening, City Council, wonderful city staff, and everybody behind me. It is a full house tonight, which is amazing. I am here tonight to talk about something so important, so critical, yet unfortunately so controversial. I'm here tonight to talk about housing. According to the latest housing element draft, 1 in 3 San Ramon residents is cost burdened, meaning they spend more than 30% of their monthly income on housing. That's 1 out of 4 homeowners and nearly 50% of renters. San Ramon is experiencing a housing crisis, and this is evidence. And it's simply not right to judge people who decide to live at home with family or in intergenerational households simply to save money. We need to grow, and we need to grow smart. The proposed marketplace development includes 40 single-family detached homes. It's infill at our city core, which is awesome, but it barely makes a dent in our RHNA numbers. And these are going to be large resource and energy-intensive units starting at 2,100 square feet. If we do some quick math, that means that these units will sell starting at $1.7 million. That is an expensive price tag, but thankfully we have a 15% allocation of affordable BMR units, right? Wrong, because instead of creating below market rate units, the developer has the very appealing option of paying a very small fee to bypass that requirement. And by very small, I'm talking $130,000, which is determined from an inherently flawed calculation. You cannot place a dollar value on the lost opportunity for a young family to buy a home and gain equity thanks to a BMR program. But if you did place a dollar amount on it, it sure would not be $130,000, especially for a project that's going to gain probably around $80 million in revenue. I know that growth and BMR are scary concepts for cities, but just imagine the people who will be occupying those units. They will be your children. They will be your children's teachers, and they will be your medical staff. They will be good people. And in case you're wondering, why is Sarah talking to City Council about an issue that clearly pertains to the Planning Commission? This is my answer. Who appoints the Planning Commission? Who represents the voters? And who sets the city's values? It is you, the city council. So thank you very much. And I hope you all have a great evening.
Thank you. Next.
That was the only speaker card, and we do have one hand raised on Zoom. Call in user 1.
Call in user 1, you have the floor.
Hi, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I have a
Okay, I have a
okay, I don't know why I'm hearing my own echo. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
All right. The echo stopped for some reason. Okay, anyways, I have a slew of subjects to touch base on, so I'm just gonna run it down. I would like a disclosure of the San Ramon Legal Department. I know that Mr. License had requested to hire one more staff, but we were never introduced nor informed of who that person is. I know that there was a CIP that went to hiring that staff. The taxpayer deserves to know who are working in our legal department, which seems to be heavily staffed by people of Asian descent, specifically from Communist China, and also objection to recent phenomenon that the taxpayers are noticing. There are a lot of more senior and experienced staff who are retiring. It was Lisa Belpadilla, and then our chief, and then now our manager. What is going on? Are you guys bullying people? I know that you guys are not making enough money to pay people who are hired before 2014. This really needs to be addressed. All staff should be paid equal attention. If you guys are driving people to retirement, taxpayers have issues with that. Furthermore, taxpayers are tired of being told that we're bad people because we're able to buy a home here. Sarah, please disclose whether she is an activist herself, is accusing us. I came to San Ramon because I worked when I was 16 years old, and I saved every penny because I was able to hold 2 part-time jobs after school, and I put all my money once it reached to a certain amount in what is called certificate of deposit. It paid 5% continuously since I was 16. By the time I was ready to get married at age 25, I had enough money to pay off my husband's student loan debt because I never owed any money. And at the time, I always worked through college, after school, after college. I, was in a major that was not a frou-frou major. I was able to get a real job, despite that when I graduated, it was a major recession. I still was able to hold a job when other people went to do something else. So I really resent that Sarah is accusing me for causing her, or people like her, not to have housing in San Ramon. We pay a ton of taxes. After that $1.7 million home is sold, there is capital gain taxes plus paying realtors, lawyers, title changes, a ton. You are lucky you're even able to be here because we're able to afford a home because we worked hard.
Thank you. While we encourage your comments, unfortunately, state law prevents the city council from discussing items that are not on the meeting agenda. We take them serious and we will follow up on it. Next item on the agenda is.
Mayor, you still have one hand raised on Zoom.
You have a hand raised? Okay,
Yes.
let's hear the hand raise.
Mary Beth Bykowski.
Hi, I serve as an outreach analyst in the California Department of Insurance, also known as CDI. I'm here to let you know what we've been doing for your constituents. Since 2019, we've met with more than 25,000 people in 40 counties, and we've held 60 events to specifically hear concerns about both availability and the affordability of homeowners insurance. In January of 2022, the Insurance Commissioner, Ricardo Lara, and the state's emergency response and readiness agencies, they created the Safer from Wildfires framework. It's a consistent approach to reducing risk with a list of achievable, certifiable, and effective actions to help make existing homes and businesses safer from wildfires. The ultimate goal is protecting consumers by reducing the risk in the communities. So this ground-up approach for wildfire resilience has 3 layers of protection. We call it our 1, 2, 3 plan: protect the structure, protect the immediate surroundings, and protect the community. Involve your entire community to prevent wildfires from catching and spreading to other homes and businesses in the neighborhood. This includes things like enhanced infrastructure and programs like FireWise. I'm sure your local fire agencies have talked to you about steps and actions you can take, and we have an entire list on our website as well. That's insurance.ca.gov. So by making homes and the businesses safer, we can bring the risk down and subsequently bring costs down as well. The commissioner's actions are focused on safety and transparency. His new regulations do this in 3 ways. He is requiring the insurance companies to incorporate the framework into their pricing. Insurance companies will have to submit new rate filings that recognize safety, and consumers will receive their property's wildfire risk score and the reasons for it. In the past, this information was considered proprietary, and CDI will have oversight. And consumers will be able to appeal their risk determination when they have done the work. So public input was critical to ensure we were on the right track. We held a hearing on April 13th that accepted public comments. CDI has evaluated all the input and has submitted new regulations to the Office of Administrative Law, and we hope to have the new rate filings by January of 2023. As a reminder, we are a consumer protection agency, and you can call us at any time with insurance questions and help. We have a hotline with a 2-minute callback average. That number is 800-927-4357, and our website has a ton of information. And to let you know, our hotline is manned by experts, and we have a 2-minute callback average. I'm really proud of that. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mary Beth. Okay, we're on to item 5, consent calendar. These items are considered routine in nature and are acted upon by the city council with a single action. Members of the audience wishing to provide public input may request, and you should have requested by email under item 4. Members of the public may request the item be removed. Said that our decision to remove is solely at our discretion. I can't believe I got through that and somebody hasn't made a motion yet. Usually I'm sitting here.
Oh, gosh.
She's quick.
I do have a comment. I'd like
Go
to
ahead.
make, subsequent to the vote. In here on 5.7 is the shade structure installation that's going to take place in what, 5 or 6 parks, Kathy? 5 or 6 parks? No, I don't need a staff report, but 5 or 6 parks plus at the terrace room. Yeah, tell us which parks.
So we're doing 6 Pillars Park, Rancho Park, Red Willow Park. Well, let me look on here. Leaving 2 out. Creekside Park and Piccadilly Park.
Yeah, this is really terrific. We've been working on this for quite a while.
Quite a while.
We got some state funds that go with this. We had to do some matching funds, and we had some money left from our community center rehab. And so there will be new shade structures going up within the next 8 months or so or less.
Right.
And I want to thank the staff for doing all the work there, and the Parks Commission for working with staff on that. So thank you very much. And I'm really looking forward to seeing those shade structures going up.
Thank you.
So are the people that live there, I'm sure.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
People out walking in those parks will see a shade structure and they go, boy, this makes a big difference, whether it's raining or whether it's a really hot sunny day, it'll make a difference. And then, of course, at the terrace room, it'll make a big difference.
Yeah, extend it out.
Oh, yeah, over that concrete thing. It just so much good coming from that.
Okay, we have a special presentation. We have 3 tonight. First one is a proclamation declaring September 2022 as National Service Dog Month. Is Pamela Durkin and Penny Hansen here? Would you please join me up here? And you're from the East Bay Miracle Chapter's Canine Companions for Independence. So I have a feeling that we'll let him read it.
Yeah.
The dogs are the stars. Come on up, Jill.
To do this? Okay,
Oh, look at these guys.
this is different, isn't it?
Yes.
Get a vote here. I have a proclamation of the City Council of the City of San Ramon declaring September 2022 as National Service Dog Month. Whereas the Americans with Disability Act allows public accommodations for service animals, which are defined as dogs that are individually trained to do work or perform tasks for people with disabilities. And whereas before being paired with a human, each service dog requires months of training and practice. And whereas before dogs are put through their paces as well, I bored them. Before dogs are put through their paces as potential companions,
Smart
they
animals.
must be raised in an environment that is conducive to learning. And whereas across America, hundreds of canines are raised by volunteer puppy raisers each year who agree to provide a safe environment, attend classes, teach manners and basic commands, provide for food, veterinary expenses and transportation, and agree to give up the puppy after an 18-month time period. And whereas Canine Companions is a nonprofit organization that enhances the lives of people with disabilities by providing expert trained service dogs and ongoing support to ensure quality partnerships. And whereas Canine Companions, through their network of trained service dogs, helps individuals live their lives to the fullest by providing best-in-class training, cutting-edge research, and a deeply committed community of support. And whereas the residents of San Ramon believe in the joyful, transformative power of the human-canine connection. And whereas National Service Dog Month aims to educate our community about the benefits of service dogs and the laws protecting them. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of San Ramon does hereby proclaim September 2022 as National Service Dog Month and encourages all citizens to celebrate genuine service dogs and be respectful of the adults, children, and veterans who lead more independent lives because of them. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Great, thank you very much. I appreciate, Mayor, you recognizing National Service Dog Month. It's critical to us. I am the volunteer president for the East Bay chapter and I live in San Ramon. The chapter actually started in the San Ramon area. And during COVID, we actually used this park to have our puppy classes for our trainers. So on behalf of Canine Companions, who you said that, you know, is a nonprofit organization that provides service dogs to adults, children, and veterans free of charge, which that's pretty key because some organizations charge upwards of $20,000 for a service dog, and volunteers have the puppies in their homes, puppy raise the puppies for 18 months, give them up and hand over the leash to lovely people like Penny and Jill. These are, by the way, they're hearing dogs. So they alert both of them to sounds, which helps them be more independent. And if I could have Penny just say one or two things.
Thank you so much for recognizing the importance of these dogs in our lives. It's so wonderful that people do so much for the dogs that actually then do so much for us. Izzy is a game changer. She lets me know when the doorbell rings, the telephone, the timer, if someone's coming up behind me. And I just want to thank you all for recognizing that.
Okay, thank you very much. We have a proclamation declaring September 2022 also as Library Card Sign Up. And Dr. Francis, there you are. Pronouncing this right, Abdullah Wilson? Yes, sir. Okay. You're gonna have to get along with me. Oh, we don't have to talk. That's fine. I have a proclamation of the City Council of the City of San Ramon declaring September 2022 also as Library Card Sign Up Month. And whereas libraries and librarians play a crucial role in the education and development of children, and And whereas librarians are literacy experts, offering everything from preschool story time to summer reading programs that sustain school year learning. And whereas libraries provide a learning environment that fosters joyful exploration, encouraging students to research subjects that they are genuinely interested in. Whereas librarians create welcoming and inclusive spaces for people of all backgrounds to learn together and engage with one another. And whereas librarians provide a variety of books and resources to serve everyone in the community, making knowledge and ideas available so that people have the freedom to choose what to read. And whereas a library card empowers all people to pursue their dreams, explore new passions and interests, and find their voice. And whereas libraries are constantly transforming to deliver new services that connect closely with community needs, even during a pandemic. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of San Ramon does proclaim September 2022 as Library Card Sign-Up Month in the City of San Ramon and encourages everyone to sign up for their own library cards. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all. I know even though the mayor said the longest speech, but in my case, the longest speech is going to take the value of the shortest speech. So I'm not going to hold everybody. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Thank you, Councilman Armstrong. Thank you, Councilman Perkins. Thank you, Council Member Zafar. City Manager, thank you for approving this. City Attorney, thank you. To everybody here, acknowledge you, as well as everybody online. Vice Mayor, oh, you know what? I'm sorry.
You already mentioned.
But thank you, though. My apologies. I'll just encourage every one of you to sign up for library cards. I mean, we still have some days in September. A matter of fact, I know some of you might have some, but we have various designs that I'll encourage you to come over. So thank you again, sir.
I have a quick question, actually. Do you have digital cards as well? So
Yes, the
Okay.
digital card we have, matter of fact, is like a temporary e-registration. When you have that, you have limited, services you have for that. But we can encourage you to use your same physical card as a digital card, and we definitely
just by taking a picture or how?
exactly
Okay.
yes.
So you take a picture of that
We
actual
honor
card.
those as well.
All right, awesome. That's great to know.
I have one request.
Oh,
Sorry. After
I
Scott.
had just a brief comment, and that we've seen this movement across the United States, and it's a very disturbing movement to ban books. And I find that extraordinarily ignorant. And I'm so grateful that we have a library. In fact, the banned book list ought to be the reading list for most people. I remember so many of those books were in my high school reading class, Catcher in the Rye and 1984 and Animal Farm. These books are classics, and they cause you to think. And if we can get more people to think about what they're reading and understanding, I think it's to everyone's benefit. And I want to thank you we're going to keep those books in our library. And I would resist any attempt to ban books from our library in the Contra Costa system.
Thank you. As a matter of fact, this is like a
Banned book
week
week.
as well. Yeah. So we have all those there. Every library is celebrating that as well.
Yeah.
And without leaving, thank you, Ms. Heidi, Brad, and Vice Mayor.
He has one for you.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh,
I'm here.
I strongly believe that libraries play a very important role in building our communities, and they are very important resources for educational programs. So one thing I would like to see is what it takes for us to bring 3D printers to our libraries. I already asked this for our assistant manager, but I want to see some 3D printers, especially for these kids who can print some of their Legos or their printing in our libraries.
In fact, that is one of my requests to the foundation. But if you want me to make a special request to the city council, we'll take the check.
Mark, I think. There you go. You have the left side.
Thank you all. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. We have the recognition of the 10 football club. Oh, seven. And 0506 employees selecting for their representation of the San Juan community at. For anybody here that doesn't know, this is the 2022 is it not? Right? And the actual ways to that one. And is Ken Coates here? I know you were here earlier. Jim, come on up. And is it mine selling floor? Yes. Yes, come on up. No. This is the one thing I miss my daughter. There's a recognition and congratulations to San Juan football club. And this is the 07 girls can be over there. Correct. But here the 07 boys can be correct. And the 5-6 combined teams, and this is for their outstanding representation of the San Juan community in the 2022 Denali San President and for their hard work. You should call the mayor, I promise. And dedication to the sport of soccer, the values of teamwork and sportsmanship learned through sports. And I'm gonna have you bring the girls up and let's bring the boys up. Come on up. Come on. One at a time. Go Somebody gave me a story. What did we do? Now I'm gonna tell you what my daughter. Anybody have anything exciting you can tell us about the San Sebastian you did? Absolutely. Come on. I'll give you a hint. It doesn't have to be. When my daughter did the Aloha Cup, they went over there and they wanted to go to the restaurant, which was a little bit less of a restaurant, more of a drinking establishment. And there was karaoke and they got up and sang. I could not believe they were singing. Tim Withers. They were trying to do a song that's an all-time. It was a good laugh. Anybody have anything like that? You didn't get up to karaoke? You didn't do TikTok to what? Now they didn't play it. Huh? Okay. There you are. Everybody's listening at home. There's 40 million people on TV.
Water and these like tiny seeds and through rocks and stuff, and it was not good.
Sounds like you guys had your hand full. All right, we put you on the spot. Guy, boy, what you got? Nothing? Oh, come on. Justin, we looked at Spain and no stories. Yeah, I believe in it. I mean,
You guys go up to the statue. One comment.
But was worth the trip, right? You can do it again. Yeah, this is one thing that we've been doing in this area for so long. I can't thank you guys enough. It's the trips that go out of the area. We had a golf team that we celebrated here in 2014, went back to Georgia. I mean, this is a great area that we live in, and because of the things that you just did, we do it again next year and the year after, but enough of me speaking, please, folks, come on up here. Tell us a little bit about your trip to San Juan. Let me get out of the way.
No, I appreciate it. I want to say thank you to the city of San Ramon for recognizing us, but this has been our culture. We started this in 2018. The whole idea behind it was to try to get our kids, get them out of their bubble, go out and experience something new. And just show them what the rest of the world are like as far as the football goes. And since then, our mission wasn't go there to go win a tournament. It was basically learn the culture, eat something different, and also play the game that we love. And so far, we've been pretty successful. It's either been in semifinal, quarterfinal. So that's always been the icing on the cake. But I think the experience that the girls and the boys get, it's priceless. So that's going to be our culture every year. We're going to try to take a few teams over there to give them that experience. So again, we really appreciate you guys recognizing us. as a community that we are. And so, these young women and young boys and men, they're gonna remember this for the rest of their life. And we're hoping that they'll pass it on to their kids and from there on, hopefully this sports can continue growing. So, and that's our journey, and we're trying to pass it on to the next generation. So really, really appreciate you guys recognizing us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So next year I get to go, right?
All
right. No, again, I want to thank the city for just also building the community that supports the club. I said this is, I know it was a great trip for the girls. My daughter's hopefully going to go in the next year or two. So looking forward to that. So it couldn't happen not only without the coaches, but also recognize it's the parents and the members of the club that make this happen as well. So I thank you.
Thank you. Okay, everybody I know they're trying to take pictures. Get real close. I'll get back to work over here. I'll be behind.
You can get back.
Come on. In front of the front? In front? Okay, come on, in front of the front.
Hide me. Yeah. Is it working?
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you. Jade, take 5 minutes. Take five? Take five. Okay, we're gonna take 5 minutes, let everybody clear out, go do their homework. Get 5? Yeah. Get that, Christina? Lost half of our audience, so we're back. There is back to item 7, deferred consent items. There are none. This is city council appointments. 8.1 is a poet laureate appointment. We have a staff report by Brad Morris. Hi, Brad.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor Hudson, City
Hi.
Council. I'd like to present to you this evening the agenda item of the Poet Laureate appointment. The Parks and Community Services Commission recommends that the City Council appoint Jenneth Joe Gerhard Utchin to serve as the City of San Ramon's Poet Laureate with the term to expire in 2024. Poet Laureate is an official representative of a city or state who promotes and encourages the literary arts in the community. The City of San Ramon Poet Laureate position is a 2-year term. The city clerk announced the vacancy for this position and notices were placed on the city website, Nextdoor, Facebook, and other social media outlets. We also notified all the applicants that had participated in the past, as well as emailed a lot of our artist lists for encouraging for people to submit applications. 2 applications were received by the city clerk by the deadline of August 31st, 2022. Those applicants were interviewed by a subcommittee comprised of 2 Parks and Community Services commissioners and 1 Arts Advisory Committee member on September 6th, 2022. The committee felt that both candidates were deserving of the position. However, Jenneth Joe, with her experience of doing it before, her strong communication skills and her connections in the community, was the person that they submitted forward. The subcommittee recommended the appointment for consideration for the full Parks and Community Services Commission at the September 14th, 2022 meeting, and the Parks and Community Services Commission unanimously approved that recommendation and asked to bring it forward to the City Council.
Thank you, Brad. Any questions of staff? Well, then. What? Let me ask if there's any public comment first. Okay, no public comment. Thank you. I have a motion Perkins, second Veros, and 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5. Thank you very much for applying, Jenneth Joe, I'm sorry. And you will be notifying her tomorrow. Is that correct? Okay. Anybody further comments on this? Seeing none, let's move on to
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Brad. 10, there's no 9 unfinished business. 10. I'm making him sweat while we wait. No, we have an open space advisory committee report, and this is a vision for preserving contiguous open space. The introduction by Keith Hawes.
Good evening, and thank you, Mayor and council members. I'd like to provide a brief introduction and then turn it over to the Open Space Advisory Committee Chair, Lorraine Kallick, and Vice Chair, Bob Peoples, to present the committee's vision for preserving San Ramon's contiguous open space. The plan being presented this evening was an annual goal of the Open Space Advisory Committee to update the 2013 Open Space Plan and Open Space Preservation Priority List, maps, and criteria for establishing cities' open space priorities. The vision document that you see is the result of several months of work by the committee. During the process, the committee solicited feedback, and in doing so has incorporated and addressed feedback from a number of sources, such as the Parks Community Services, the Community Development, and the Public Works Departments, the Parks and Community Planning Commissions, as well as the East Bay Regional Park District. Other entities were also solicited, but did not necessarily provide feedback at this time. The extensive work completed by the committee has resulted in a solid base of information with recommendations that are forward-thinking and include a wide range of possibilities for the City Council to consider to enhance its efforts to protect, preserve, and connect the open space in and around San Ramon. And finally, before turning it over to Chair Kallick for the presentation, it is recommended that the City Council receive the presentation and provide feedback to the Open Space Advisory Committee. And with that, I will present Chair Kallick.
The baton.
You got the baton. Okay.
Yeah, not scary at all. Thank you. Sorry, I'm a little under the weather, so not COVID, tested, made sure all good, but it's an important presentation and just wanted to
You
thank.
catch that in Hawaii?
No, I didn't. But I'm going there for Ironman Championships starting Sunday. So also Mayor Hudson and our city council members, thank you so much for having us here tonight. Open Space Advisory Committee usually presents our annual report once a year. And otherwise we work in the background, just getting ready and standing by to advise on issues that might come up when called upon. In August, when I interviewed to be reappointed for my position, I told you we were working on something big that I really wanted to bring to you, and so this is why we're on your agenda for tonight. So that's why we're here, and we just lost our member Henry Perez Alonso, but because he's part of the football club, he was here with them, and he's Open Space Advisory Committee member as well. And he likes to have things presented in what he calls the Sesame Street version. What's the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s of things, and break down this big report that way. But I kind of do a who, what, how, why format. So I'm going to start with the who. So I'm Lauren Kalick. I'm serving as Open Space Advisory Committee Chair at this point. And here with us tonight is Sally Scholl, also committee member, and Bob Peebles, who is our vice chair, and he is the co-chair and primary author of this document that we're here to present and discuss with you. So since most people don't watch the credits at the end of a movie, I want to recognize a few key people right at the outset. Our thanks go out to many, many people, as Keith Haas said, that gave us input and helped us as this presentation was developed. And there's a full acknowledgement page in the report, but some people have been second only to Bob in their contributions and their valuable input. So Mr. John Youngblood, who is a citizen representative, and he was on the Open Space Task Force that developed the 2013 Preservation Priorities List. Mr. Lauren Barr, Chief of Planning Services Division, Mr. Robin Bartlett, Chief of Engineering Services Division, Ms. Kira Evers, GIS Specialist, Engineering Services Division, and our PCS support from Kathy Hyman, Keith Haas, and all of the staff with the city of San Ramon that have really worked with us as we put this together. So there you go. So Bob says that the only recognition he wants for his efforts is to have open space preserved for future generations, but I think we owe him more. We owe him our immediate gratitude for his time and energy, his knowledge and dedication in this adventures. So why are we here? Open Space Advisory Committee charge includes prioritizing land and recommending properties for preservation. First thing on our list, advising on opportunities and threats to open space, providing a forum for public input, seeking partnerships with other advocacy groups, and reporting annually to our city council. So as the staff report indicates, we adopted a goal to update the Open Space Preservation Priority List that was written in 2013, and that keeps with the first part of our charge. You know, I'm supposed to be doing slides, huh? Here.
There you go.
Sorry, we'll go with. So the original goal was to update that preservation priority list. So as some projects do, this one took on a life of its own and started to grow and change from a simple update to a major collaboration with our partners and our partners in preservation until it became what we now call the vision document. It was an update to a plan. The word plan was a stumbling block for us. Plans need vetting. Plans have a different implications to them that weren't necessarily true in 2013. They could call it a plan. Things were getting hung up on the word plan. So eventually this new title kind of came about after, what is this? What is this really that we're working on? And it is really a vision. So that's why we call this our vision document. So we're here to present this to you. It's all in your packet. It's a tool for you to use as reference material. It's got a ton of valuable information all put in one space. It's a big collaborative effort that's really an aspirational goal set and recommendations on ways to achieve the goal. So where did the vision come from? Bob has been counting the days and he tells us that it has been 15 months in the making. So the document, represents the committee's shared understanding of what can be accomplished and provides recommendations for near-term actions contributing to achievements in the vision outlined. So as we learned more about the 2013 efforts and earlier initiatives, that was our initial focus. We reviewed what has been done. Quite a lot of the open space in and around the city is already under some preservation, but not all of it. So there are a lot of details, and we realize that everyone is pretty committed to the ongoing protection of the open space. And as we looked at the priority lists and the details in that, this broader vision emerged. Work took on another dimension, and it grew to be more than just the land within the city's planning area. And it grew to include open space contiguous to the planning area. Big word, just, it's bigger than the city itself. And so that is part of what leads to our partnerships that we'll talk about in a little bit. The character that the open space provides, it's in the city seal, it's in the logo, it's everywhere, the green hills, the hillsides, the vista, the view shed, all of that is important to everyone. And it's not just the city of San Ramon property or area of influence, but we are a big contributor to the preservation efforts for that space. So in expanding the area, we had to recommend that the protection sheds light on the importance of the partnerships, where I'm getting stuck. So we're trying to build on and enhance the old efforts, the things that have been done before us, very successful efforts, lots of tools in place. And we want to acknowledge that good work has been done, but there is still threats to open space, and we want to recommend some actions to guide you in your policy. So what is the vision itself? The vision is aspirational and long-term. It's recommendations. It's a full document with appendices and a big collection of information that is a reference. As I said, there's about 10 pages or so at the core, and that describes the main goals. And they're sort of listed for you here. So the vision is to protect this vast amount of acreage, the open space, the vistas surrounding the city, not just within the city. It's going to be achieved by maintaining the current uses. If it's farming now, keep it farming. If it's grazing, keep it grazing. If it's undeveloped open space, if it's GAD for geologic purposes, that sort of thing, whatever its current protection and use is, that's pretty good. And so if we can maintain the usage, that in effect preserves the space without the city having to acquire it or purchase it or manage it on its own. It can be part of the partnerships with the landowners. It can be partnerships with the other trusts and agencies responsible for protection. So we want to build on and extend the initiatives, past, present, and future. Understand that acquisition of property isn't necessarily required to maintain the natural aesthetic, the additional value and services that the open space provides. And we want to recognize that if a change is forthcoming, all options for preservation should be explored proactively. We recognize that many people are working for the preservation of the flora and fauna of San Ramon, and there is still risk around us. The existence of unprotected open space is tenuous. Key findings are key recommendations and things that we highlight. Sorry, this is somehow out of order. Part of the key findings: maintaining current use effectively protects the open space. The original 2013 document had a detailed set of priorities. It looked at wildlife corridors. It looked at fire management. It looked at certain protected species of either plants or animals, and very detailed lists. And we were starting out trying to just update those lists and figure out what is current. And we said, maybe this isn't really the right approach for how to value the property. It's good, it's helpful, but there's more, there's bigger. And so we sort of got out of that granular level and took it up to be a little more aspirational. Vulnerability to development is still the most pressing reason for pursuing a preservation plan for any particular property. If there is an active threat of development or possibility of development, that that would elevate it in priority over some of the smaller details like what is living there. Here are the key recommendations. Acquire what we can. Focus on imminent and long-term threats. Recognize that all open space is valuable regardless of its ownership. We don't have to own it as a city for it to be open. Pursue funding for preservation through all means possible. Continue the focus on infill development, which we recognize is working in San Ramon. Projects that are going in as infill projects instead of projects that are going in on the hillside have been supported by the city council, and the Open Space Advisory Committee recognizes that that is something that the citizens want and that we encourage as well. Keep open space top of mind when creating general plans and doing updates, and support all federal, state, county, and local preservations to protect and extend the tools that are used therein. Know about things like the Williamson Act, the state's recommendations on percentages for open space preservation, legislative changes that might have an impact on open space protection. The Open Space Advisory Committee is here as a resource, and this is documentation so that if something comes up and the Williamson Act is looking to be extended, for instance, and you want to know what it is, Bob can tell you. Call him up. He's written a beautiful document on tools for preserving open space and knowing what tools are available to us to use. So a wealth of knowledge. This is again, some details that are recommendations for how we can help put things in the general plan, encourage our partnerships, encourage things at the county level, and so on. Access to open space, we consider that to be inseparable from its protection. We know that the use of the property and how it is preserved is regardless of whether it's open to the public, for instance, or who owns it. Using trails and education on proper trail usage and proper preservation, wildlife corridor, and things like grazing and respecting grazing animals is something that we want to always keep in mind as well. So partnerships, we talk a lot about partnerships. As I said, the vision involves what's beyond the city limits. So we need to be involved with our partners. More than 90% of the open space identified in the report for protection and preservation is located in unincorporated Contra Costa County, just beyond the city's jurisdiction. So the vision can't be accomplished by the city by itself. Cooperation and support of these partner organizations that you see here are essential. So finally, how can you help? The title of this slide was important to me, especially because we're asking everyone for their help in achieving the vision that's presented here. We trust that careful consideration will be given to all the ideas and recommendations that are presented and hopefully be reflected in general plan. We ask that particular attention be given to several key elements. Above all, lean guide city staff and residents to explore and seriously consider adopting the aspirational goals of preserving the open space in and around us under the long-term approach outlined as part of the vision. Recognize that realization of the vision is a long-term, like generations worth of perspective and commitment. Maintain the emphasis on sustaining open space and the rural character of property, both within and adjacent to the city in perpetuity. Recognize that all open spaces adjacent or connected to preserved open space parcels are also essential components. Continue the commitment to smart growth policies and practices so that growth of the city can be accommodated within the existing developed footprint. That approach remains both feasible and effective. Embrace and support our partners with open space protection efforts with an emphasis on priority parcels as well as with willing sellers. So protection, access, and partnerships are the pillars on which the vision is based. And I've said this before with our annual plan and all the big, long list of goals. This was only one of the list of goals that we had for this last year. We can achieve this because open space committee members, city council staff, the commissions, the citizens of San Ramon all agree that protecting our open space for the enjoyment of everybody is a priority, and everyone is committed towards working towards these goals. So we thank you for our support, your support of our efforts and open space work in general. And if you have any questions, as I said, Bob is the master author of the report itself, so he can help answer any questions on that. And as a team, we will see what we can do we welcome your feedback, your comments, your questions. And
Well, before we get to the questions, Bob, Sally, anything you want to add to this or? No? You sure? You were halfway up. Come on.
No, I appreciate it. I think Lorraine has laid it out. Again, we've laid out a vision here for an area to be preserved contiguous to the city. It's all within the planning area for the city, but it's contiguous to the city. And there's been a great deal of work over the decades leading up to the present time with presently approximately 2/3 of that 8,700 acres having some level of protection beyond the zoning requirements. And that's, a major accomplishment and something that the city and its partners have done. And what we're proposing is just to continue on that with some additional recommendations for changes to continue that, particularly in the face of growing threats to the remaining open space that's unprotected.
Okay, thank you. Any questions before we open up public comment? Seeing none, we'll open up the public comment. Do we have any cards? Do we have
I
any
do not.
star nines? Do we have any raised hands?
We do. We don't have any speaker cards, but we do have one hand raised on Zoom.
Okay,
Call in user 1.
you got 3 minutes. I don't think we have any written.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Would you kindly please not make me echo? Okay. I want to let the city council members know that I know I have no influence over you because you have appointed this open space committee, which really doesn't take much input from the taxpayers of San Ramon, but the authorities from outside of San Ramon, such as municipalities of surrounding areas of San Ramon and NGO organizations, as well as people as far as from San Francisco. Their goal is to make sure that those people can freely pass through and use our trails for free. As a taxpayer, I have participated in their meetings many times, and I find the fact that you have reappointed the chair who just presented the report to you very distasteful. You should have never allowed her a continued term because she had disclosed to you that she won't be living here full time. She is literally a half-time San Ramon resident. Whatever decision she makes, it will only impact her half of the time, yet you allowed her. As far as Mr. Peoples, I have listened to him many, many times. He is the god of San Ramon open space. Whatever he says went in the committee discussions, and if there's any public input, it was ignored. Furthermore, they ignored documents of our DV-GAD and Windermere development documents, which every single home purchasers in the Windermere area received in addition to their private HOA documents. There are documents that may be in conflict with what you are about to approve, and I know you will approve regardless. If there is any conflict, we reserve the right to sue you and this committee for disregarding all those documents, and we know that planning through Cindy E., had already worked with this committee to weaken the codes, the city codes that have governed our open space. This committee is not here to look out for us. They're here to compromise us. The new language, the new city codes will not require developers to have parks and open spaces. In lieu, they will charge them fees to develop. Okay, go ahead and shut me down. I know. Go ahead.
Okay. If there are no further public comment, we'll close the public comment and the matters before the council for discussion. I just wanted to say one thing. The one thing I'm sorriest about this is that we didn't get Big Canyon. I mean, that is what drove me to actually get into that, and the fact they were going to put 3 houses down and block the 8th green over at San Ramon Golf. But to this day, I still think Big Canyon is one of the most beautiful areas I've ever run in, and I've been known to do a mile or two also. Anything else? Looking down, Sabina?
Yeah. So do you want to go first?
No, go ahead. We'll start and move this way.
Yeah, I think, and Bob also walked me through some of the map and how some of these places are connected. What I would love is, I don't know if you have it published on the website, or it's something we could make it available on our website, because I do get questions, and if we can share with our residents that what the plans are, even if it's, in the future. Some of that maps that are showing what are the potential. Yeah.
The plan was attached to the agenda.
Yeah.
And it has the 3 maps for the 3 segments,
Right.
which shows the properties and the protection status on those properties.
Yeah.
And that could be readily put onto
Our website,
the
so that,
website
yeah,
for the
I
city.
think that would be a good idea, because when we get questions and it's available, it's kind of easier to talk people through something actually visual versus trying to explain.
Yes, I depend on them a lot.
Yeah, those are great.
Scott, then Mark.
No, I want to thank you very much for, I know that I was the liaison for many years to the Open Space Advisory Committee, and I know that you guys put a lot of work and you have a real passion for this. And I recognize that the committee members really are dedicated to the San Ramon open space, and the efforts by some of the NGOs support that. It's not in conflict with, it's in support of the open space in San Ramon. So I really appreciate the vision you've presented here, and the level of detail is just remarkable. So I want to thank you for that. And I know that's largely Bob's work, but I know the whole committee had their input, and so thank you all.
Yeah, same. Thank you, Lorraine, for that report. And thank you, Bob, for all the hard work that's gone into this, and the whole committee. I've seen this develop now for months and months and months, because I'm currently sitting as the liaison to the Open Space Advisory Committee. So I've seen it morph from a plan to a vision. It's a guide. It's not prescriptive. It's got some recommendations in there, but I think it's really well done. A lot of good hard work. And this is done by members of the committee who are citizens and our NGO partner as well. And so they have the best interest of San Ramon at heart. I particularly like the way that this supports our, we have a priorities that the council establishes. This definitely supports our number 6 priority, especially with respect to the whole protection and preservation, and doing that through our partnerships. And I'd like the 3 themes that you've outlined there, with the protection and the preservation of the open space, the access, the partnerships. I think that's right on the money. And I like the way it's kind of evolved beyond just the whole preservation and protection idea. And I think it's good that you've built on the past. You're not throwing away all the past work over the last, decade or so, but you're building upon that. And I like the fact that you're this idea of maintaining the existing land uses. Don't intensify, but keep it if it's zoned this and, as a land use, then continue to do that. And then with respect to partnerships and relationships and that sort of thing, I think that's key to the future. In emergency management, we used to have a thing where we would say, you don't want to be exchanging business cards for the first time in the middle of a disaster. That's the same thing, I think, with this open space business. You don't want to wait until some land becomes available. And it's kind of the last minute. So it's the wrong time to start talking to somebody and figuring out how you might be able to acquire that property, or at least move it into an area where it helps to protect that open space. And it also gives us a long-term view that those relationships, this is not a sprint. This is not something we're going to do overnight. We got to maintain those relationships over a long period of time, because we don't know when that opportunity is going to present itself. One thing I've found in talking to folks is that our residents love our open space. They love the scenic vistas. They love getting out there on the trails. Access is really important to them. They get out there, they get to do something physical, something healthy, some enjoyment. They can appreciate nature. It kind of adds to their quality of life, and they become advocates for protection in the future. So I think that's another reason why access is so important, because it helps us in the long run to build a bench of people who also want to protect our open space. So now with respect to the priority parcels and those areas identified, I know that discussions occur. I think that's primarily in the realm of the city manager and staff. I want to be careful that the Open Space Advisory Committee doesn't take on a role of, direct contact, direct negotiations and that sort of thing. I don't think that's a member of any one single council member either. I think, we have people who do that. I do think the council needs to periodically get a general overview of where we're at on some of those discussions that take place. Maybe not get into all the eaches, not get into the business of the day-to-day negotiations, but I certainly would like to know more. And I think it's important as we, soon we're going to be talking the budget again, and we're going to start, figuring out, do we have enough funds in our open space fund? What happens if an opportunity presents itself? Do we have the funding to be able to take advantage of that on the spot? So anyway, bottom line, great work, a lot of hard work. I appreciate the recommendations, and just want to commend you for all that you've done. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. When we interviewed to be appointed to the committee, the question was, which parcels do you think should be the priority and whatnot? I mean, and that's part of the driving force that got us looking at this. But we clearly do not want to interfere with any negotiations that are going on. We don't need to know the details of what's going on there. But we did want to say, from the perspective of vulnerability to development and the ability to close gaps in trails and access more trail areas, as being very important factors to look at. And when you do that, here are several parcels from our perspective that we might want to pay attention to. And again, as we suggested, devote some negotiating effort to that, in addition to just responding to the opportunities that are available. But we really want to have a pretty solid wall between us and the actual negotiations, and not do anything that's going to interfere with this. And I asked several different people, East Bay Parks and other folks that are involved with acquisition, if anything we were doing, they thought would have an impact on on those ongoing negotiations. And nobody has ever told me that there was a problem with doing that, but we're very sensitive to that particular issue.
Good. Thanks, Bob. Thanks for clarifying that.
Mark, I wanted to follow up on your question, maybe from staff, like if we consider these priorities, do they have to be part of a CIP or something for us to start creating, I mean, do we have, how do we make sure that we got some funding?
So open space is kind of a unique situation, right? Because it's long-term, it's privately owned, the vast majority of it, and people that don't want to sell, you can't, so you, as Mr. Peoples discussed, identifying the priorities is very useful to the city, because when those opportunities arise, we are as the city staff informed, and on a couple occasions years ago, actually laborers camp would be one of those where the open space original work that the open space conducted, that committee conducted, as well as the prioritization the council made in their goals, informed me to be able to initially react pretty quickly to enter into negotiations. And then as you're aware, the council's aware, we entered into a partnership with East Bay Regional Parks, which is our preference from the city staff or from the city council, because that's what they do, right? And so to put that into the parks, and we've made several steps forward with the parks. We're constantly talking with the East Bay Regional Parks. So to answer your question on a CIP, generally we would not create a CIP for parcel this, parcel that on this long-term vision that, I mean, this parcel may not come up. There may not be opportunity on a parcel for 20 years. We've made several contacts with many of the folks that not only own parcels inside the city limits, but also as mentioned, those contiguous are important. East Bay Regional Parks has a master plan in which they're trying to tie, so and they're getting some success tying the valley together down to Alameda County. So it's all on the radar, but to put that, create a CIP for something that's not really there yet.
Yeah,
would be
I guess
a
what
little
the
bit more.
question, which the reason I asked was, is there a fund right now, which if something came up, we would be able to use that money, we found out tomorrow somebody's selling something, or
Yes.
how would we make sure we've got some money that perhaps?
There is an open space fund, and
Okay.
it was recently funded. I want to say, we don't really have, we have Vance, but Vance probably not in tune, but that was funded like Faria funded. I want to say $1 million of it, and there's a certain open space fee that it now collects in the fund. So we do have that fund. When you talk about buying large parcels, was this what we're talking about, right? Generally, that fund is not. We're not to the point where we can do that. So what we attempt to maximize our dollars. Our strategy is always to look at our partners like East Bay Regional Parks, who has funding for acquisition, as part of their strategy, and then we come in as kind of a support role. And if we can support some of that funding, we would then present that to the council for consideration. And if East Bay Regional Parks, if it's in their primary plan, they plan through that acquisition. So we do what we can to support it, because really we don't have a lot of money in terms of large open space acquisition, but we're getting there. And when those options come up, we would make an effort to see if we could get close enough, and then that would get presented to the council. East Bay
Regional
Parks.
Park.
Our part, yeah, I have them on speed dial, so we're good there.
Vice Mayor Burrows.
one of the biggest appreciation I received from our community during COVID and post-COVID is about our open space. People like our community residents said our open space played very important role in their health, especially mental health. So they could able to at least walk outdoors, and even though they could able to say hi or some like social interaction, even though they could not do it indoors. So thank you very much for our open space committee. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Lorraine. Thank you, Henry. Looks like Henry just left, and thanks to our parks and public works department for keeping them safe and in a good shape to use. So now another important thing I would like to mention is about our partnerships, especially with East Bay Parks and other stakeholders that we have. It plays very important role because it won't put too much stress on our budget, as we just not had conversation, even though when we are preserving our open spaces at the same time, we are able to run without putting too much stress on our budget and spending on those open spaces. So please continue that partnerships and let us know if we can step in any way so that we can build or expand those partnership networks. We are always there. I'm always there to help. And once again, thank you very much for your presentation.
Yeah, I think the bigger problem that we haven't touched on with Big Canyon in particular is when it was outside the city limits or outside the urban limit line, we'd have lost our return to source money for transportation from Measure J. We can't participate in that, which annoyed me to no end. But it worked out with East Bay Regional Park District. Maybe the thing to put into your next vision is that urban limit line expires in 2026. So you're going to be pretty busy to that point. But we were going to be handed that parcel. I mean, there's a couple hundred acres in there and in prime land. I'm sure it's going to work out the same way, but I just was envisioning what we would have done on the Burrell property. If that's another story, we'll stay out of it. Any further council action or discussion? If not, we thank you for your report, Lorraine. Get on out to the airport, wait for the early morning flight, and enjoy the we used to call it the Iron Wimp, but that's a different story. Thank you for coming in tonight. Sally, no last words? Just a nod? We're good. Okay, now we're on to the real highlight of the evening. I know you're not going to want to leave. City manager comments.
Okay, just a couple updates. As you know, Crow Canyon widening construction is well underway. We continue to have daily lane closures, and ultimately it will have 3 lanes in each direction and updated bike lanes, and should be completed by the end of 2023. So that is going well. We also have a pavement management construction has started on Bollinger Canyon Road from Canyon Lakes to Doherty Road and Doherty Road to Bollinger to Crow Canyon. So there's a lot of pavement going on, which will and obviously cause some delays, but also upgrade our pavement. So just be aware of that. And then my final comment. Yes, sir.
You said it'd be done by the end of 2023?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, Crow Canyon Road widening.
Yes.
Mess around.
Okay.
Joe's on it.
The end of, that's a year from now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, oh, okay. I thought it was gonna be done sooner than that.
You were thinking 22, right?
Well, I was hoping.
Yeah, we're good, but not that good.
Okay.
And then the final question for the council tonight really is the first meeting in November will be on election night. It's been our general practice to not have a council that meeting because I know there are maybe a few people here that are interested in election night and may have some distractions. However, I always put it out there to just to make sure that that's how everybody feels like doing it and continue with election night.
Yeah, I like point. This only happens 1 out of every 7 elections, because if the election night is on the 2nd through the 7th, it's not a council night.
Right.
It only happens on that occasion when we have when it happens on the 8th. So this is the one time out of 7 elections. So that's a 14-year span that you have that. But I think that's a wise thing to do. I know our candidates probably have other things they want to be focused on. And quite honestly, I think most everybody in the country is going to be interested in what's happening across the United States, because the control of Congress plays a big role in how our lives are affected or not affected. So
You don't
the
think
control of
that
City
what
Hall
we
is
do here
always
is exciting?
don't.
Sabina, what do you think? He's in trouble. Let's bail him out.
They used to say, when you dug a hole, quit digging.
I would just say to me that it's, if you don't have anything, don't.
If
But
you can push it to the next
it's
meeting.
really on what, so much of this is the timeframes that we have to stay on for development agreements or this kind of stuff.
We are able to maintain the schedule if
Yeah.
the council would like to cancel that.
Okay.
I unless something comes up that you have to change it, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Nobody else? That's good.
Yeah, it's
I'm-
good.
I'm
good.
fine
Makes
with it. I
sense.
mean, I wouldn't want to, for the public not to have the opportunity to participate in whatever important thing we might be discussing that night. But I think we could also call a special meeting if we had to, if it was that important. So I'm okay with, moving off of the 8th.
Especially voting is,
Don't
that
call
is
it a
more
wait. That's a
important
bad idea.
and very critical for democracy. So we'll vote for voting.
Okay, that's it for me. Thank you.
All right, who wants to start? Mark? Council?
Sure.
Before we ask if the public wants to.
Sure, I had the opportunity to attend the city barbecue for the city staff. That was awesome on the 14th. Got to recognize a lot of our employees for their years of service. Great food, good time, lots of good sliders too. That were given away. On the 16th, I attended the second part of the Open Space Advisory Committee meeting that got postponed due to technical difficulties. And on the 20th, I had the opportunity to go to a Boy Scout Court of Honor for Troop 874 over at Pine Valley Middle School, and got to speak to the group there and just recognized some of the young scouts for their advancements and merit badges and things like that. It was a great shot in the arm for me. It'd been a long time since I'd been back to Troop 874, because that was close to me, because that's where my boys earned their Eagle badges, Eagle rank. And so it was just fun to be back there. And then on Saturday, I went down to Don Biddle Park, Don Biddle Community Park, to the dedication and the kind of the ribbon cutting of their new parks, a 30-acre park in Dublin. Beautiful, huge park. Had a lot of activities going on, great amenities. But it recognized also Don Biddle, who was an important player within the local community, former veteran, and this was done on some property that used to be part of Camp Parks and has now since been acquired by the city of Dublin. A lot of development over there too. But and I used to work for a short time in the early 2000s at mid 2000s at Camp Park. So it was kind of important to me as a veteran to see this space being used for good, and just well done by the city of Dublin. And that's about it. I look forward to Oktoberfest. We got Durga Puja coming up also this weekend, and a lot of activities in October. I remember last year, really busy time in October, a lot of things going on. So yeah, that's it.
You want to take it or you want to wait for them? Go ahead.
So as Councilmember Armstrong mentioned, October is going to be busy for us, as a lot of events. Hope to see you all on Historic Farms Oktoberfest event on October 1st, and then Durga Puja in our Central Park on September 30th, October 1st and 2nd, 3 days, 3 nights. They are going to perform various events. And then there is Run for Education. So looking forward for that also on 8th and 9th. And one more event is, there is a Festival of Flowers, Batkama event in San Ramon Sports Park and Windermere Ranch Middle School. So a lot of events and festivities going to happen during this October. Looking forward to see you all there.
Scott. So I've got MCE is having an annual retreat on Thursday.
In Spain?
The what?
Not Spain?
Not Spain. No, this is the Marin Clean Energy is having a,
Actually, that's where they have the biggest wind conference.
oh, well, maybe we should do that.
No.
No, yeah. So we discuss our goals for the coming year and our rate structures and so lots of other interesting programs we've got going on. And that's about it. So, Sabina.
I attended the Traffics Board meeting. Traffics is our traffic mitigation school bus program. And it's been a couple of weeks, so I'm trying to remember what update can I bring you that, they're doing really well. We're continuing to look at the routes on perhaps increasing some of those routes next year as well, because it continues to be a very popular program. And so looking at traffic, it's finally making its way into Windermere. I know some of us are interested in seeing that traffics program roll into the Windermere area as well. It's obviously a tax measure that allows us to fund that program and improve traffic mitigation on some of our roads here in San Ramon Valley. We also attended the Mixed Use Subcommittee meeting. Staff did ask us to vote whether we wanted to continue with the subcommittee or bring it to the larger council. I thought we should bring it to the larger council, but the commissioners wanted to keep that subcommittee so that we continue to talk about, very focused on how we want to do the mixed use retail and housing plan. So you will get an update, though. It'll come to the larger council, I think, whatever we talked about. Dave, remind me, right? We'd recommended that the council continue to get updates because we know everybody here on the council is very interested in what's going on over there. And that's it. I think the events have been mentioned, so we'll run into each other in those events. So I don't know about you guys, but I'll have some changes of, dresses from Oktoberfest to Durga Puja to the Festival of Flowers. So I take that opportunity. I take that opportunity to change costumes.
Yeah, ever since we did the ribbon cutting on that 126 or 123 unit 100% affordable housing project at Aspenwood, I've been sneaking by there trying to watch them. There better be more action there. We may have to remind them how vested we are in that. I was really looking forward to reporting out that we had a second 100% affordable housing unit going at the outpost. It's still moving along. I'm sure that we'll hear something about in short order. What I did attend and everything else I just let go by the wayside. I was invited to go to the Enzo and Me pediatric research, a fundraiser, and we all met Enzo in here. I was just shocked at how woefully underfunded this cancer research is for children. Of all the money that comes out for adults, and then how little is for the children. It's, I've always thought when you'd see the St. Jude's or something like that, that everything was doing well, but apparently it's not. I really commend Kristen and the work that she's doing on it. But I hope they're successful. That's going to be my total report for this evening. Do we have anybody who wants to speak on it?
Yes, we have one hand raised on Zoom. Call-in user 1.
You're up. We can hear you.
Hi, can you hear me? Are you sure you can hear me?
Yes.
I can hear myself twice. Can you please not echo me? Thank you. First of all, I want to thank the city manager for the road pavement. It was a nice surprise to be able to drive on smooth, nicely paved roads. on Doherty Road and Bollinger Canyon Road. So thank you for that. However, the landscaping that are being done on Ivy Hill Way and Japonica truly is a waste of tax dollars. It's not necessary and it's wasting water. So if it's possible, please stop that. And no city council meeting on election day is fine with the public, or at least, our group anyways. But we really would like to request some sort of meet and greet by the possibly new, city council members. Some of them are like out of nowhere. They haven't even attended one, not even one city council meeting. And then it's possible they can get elected. It's really a scary thought. It's truly abuse of democracy. And I was told that you guys cannot help the residents or taxpayers to meet them. We're at the mercy of Chamber of Commerce? Really? What kind of democracy is this? Are you sure we are the most advanced country in the world? It just seems so backwards. Is it possible we can possibly, at least the mayor candidates, can we please meet the other doctor first name? We have never heard him or seen him attend one council meeting. So that would be really nice if perhaps city manager can help that to be coordinated. Furthermore, thank you, Councilmember Zafar, for saying that it is the planning department who is stopping you from bringing whatever you guys discuss in ad hoc committee to come to the larger council as well as to the general public. Really, government has to be transparent. I really would recommend that every single time you guys have an ad hoc committee meeting, that the public and the larger council be briefed immediately. This kind of hiding behind little, space and little groups, working on policies have to stop. Thank you. And also regarding the cancer research and everything, there are so much surplus in the state. So perhaps we can get our great king, Governor Newsom, to do something for our children, provided that he's not killing them, through Planned Parenthood or through, decomposting, bodies, more bodies, more compost.
Thank you. Any other cards wishing to speak on this? Seeing none, we'll move to public comment. This is the time for anyone that did not speak under item 4. So candidate Sarah, I can't ask you to come up and speak. Heidi, you didn't speak if you want to. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, public comment is closed. We will convene to closed session pursuant to Government Code 59-457B for the evaluation of retiring city manager Joe Gorton and 13.2 consideration of interim city manager appointment per Government Code 54-957B. We are adjourned to closed session. City Council met in closed session earlier this evening, and there is no reportable action at this time. We are now adjourned to the next City Council meeting, which is in October.